What's up, everybody? You got the Car Man's channel, and we're here live today, broadcasting from the RVA. Sorry for the few-minute delay. I didn't hit the live button, so kind of went up myself. All right, so we're a couple minutes behind, but that's okay. All right, so today we're going to be talking about profit centers and diversifying your income a little bit, finding different ways to get income. Streams into your life. That's what it's about. Because selling can be a very lonely place if you're just sitting around waiting for people to walk in. And so I want to get you in a different mindset. I want to change the way you play the game and get you thinking about getting bigger, smarter, for less money, more profit, where you can actually have an end game. So that's kind of my position today. All right. So first, before I get going, if you're new to the channel or whatever, we are definitely about. We are all about inviting people to come join our community, and on top of that, we try to talk about stuff that would be relevant or that you would find interesting in some shape, form, or matter. And we also invite you in the community to talk. It's all about an open forum, and today it'll be live, and it's live every day between 5 to whenever we're done. Been trying to shoot for 20, 30 minutes, but I seem to be going just a little bit over the 20-minute mark. That's okay. All right, so yesterday I got this crazy, but before we get into this, then this right here goes into trying to make money and to the different profit centers. So I got one of our viewers ask me what I thought about a particular person, which I thought was bizarre. Like I had to relook at it twice to even get the concept of what the guy was saying. So he's saying there's a guy. Let me get in right here. I'm gonna find him. Okay. Love these videos. How much they charge? Here we go. So the guy that's asking me this, there's a guy. He's asking me. He's asking about a guy named Vince Hernandez, and this is what he actually stated to me. He said, he goes, "What do you think about this 23-year-old kid, Vince Hernandez? Never heard of him until I just got this. Swear to God, never heard of him." He says he has over $1 million in sales. Okay, that's pretty impressive. Sells, buys, and does the work himself on classic muscle cars. Question mark. This is what the guy wrote. I'm not cussing. He says, I call bullshit. All right. And he is now selling a $299 course. Then he goes on to say, he says, I've enjoyed your videos for 2 years now. I just think this Vince kid is selling pipe dreams. He was running track in high school, got into UC school in California, and during all this had time to learn how to restore classic muscle cars. He's never shown a video where he's actually doing any manual labor or any of his cars to see how much time you take on selling one car. It takes time to buy, fix, then sell. But this kid does it all, strikes gold every time. Could you give us your opinion? Okay. So I went and looked up one Vince Hernandez. And, first, I don't like anybody that's trying to make it. So Vince Hernandez, he's trying to make it. The video I caught, he was going to teach you the process on buying and selling cars. And he had a little whiteboard out, and he was like, he had some valid points. He's like, you've gotta come up with a game plan, and then you've got to do your research, and then you've got to know what the VIN number is and know how to break. Stop, Vince. Stop. That's not how the car business works, Vince. Let's get into this. I'm just going to stop Vince in his tracks. I know I feel like maybe I'm inspired that he's 22 years old and he's at this level where he's actually selling courses on how to get rich in the car business. That's actually pretty impressive. I'm kind of impressed that I didn't have that type of thought process at 22. So I'm definitely impressed with Mr. Hernandez. However, let's talk about classic cars for a second. Anybody that's ever paid attention to classic cars, I'm talking about, we've all seen it. Everybody's seen, who has not seen Barrett Jackson, your mouth just water for a solid 3 days, or any of the other high-end Meachams, any of those auctions, we've all watched them. And, these cars are beautiful. I mean, these guys do frame-off restorations. and they spend a lot of money in them, and then after they get done with it, their goal, usually a collector will get it done or commissioned. Very few of them actually do it to resell profit. This guy kept citing Gas Monkey Garage. You know how Gas Monkey, I'm sure y'all watch that. It's a great entertainment show, but it's not real likely that you're going to get a rust bucket in and 3 weeks later it'll be a Pebble Beach show car. It doesn't work like that. So you're going to have a lot of experience and expertise, number one, to get into classic cars, because A, you got to know what you're looking at. B, you've got to be an expert body guy. I'm not an expert body guy. I know some, but that's all they do. That's all they do. Like the guy that fixes a car that costs $200,000, you bet your sweet rear end that he knows how to fix that car. The body guy, but they won't let the body guy paint it. So you've got to have a painter at the same level. You've got to have an interior guy at the same level. You've got a guy that can run here with a huge mug of juice and water plus 9 points. Hey, what's up, Big Clip? Yeah, see you and Buff on y'all on the there you go. TV and real and life are two different things. That's exactly right. So in classic cars, man, watch Wayne Carini. Like if you ever watch the guy, that guy's as real as it gets. He's not no young pup, but he's the real deal, man. He's the real guy. He's not a BS guy. He's got that kind of money, and he deals in those kind of cars, and that's all he does. That's all he's done for a long time. He knows what they're worth, and he's willing to spend 100,000 to make 20,000, but he's also willing to spend 100,000 and lose 20,000. So Wayne Carini is a true baller. Like he is the deal. He's the man. And there's quite a few of them out there that are like that, but none of them are 22 years old. And the first thing that anybody is going to tell you that's in this kind of business is that you have to have a lot of patience, a lot of time, a lot of knowledge, a lot of money, and you also have to be willing to make a lot of mistakes. And you can't learn the stuff in days, weeks, or months. It takes years upon years upon years. Like you've got to have the sources for the parts. These parts aren't made anymore. Then you got to know the guy in the end game. Who buys these cars? Do you think a 22-year-old is going to go up to a collector that has $500 million in collectible cars and close him? No, that guy doesn't need your car. You got to have whatever you're bringing to the table has got to have everything perfect. And those cars and that deal, and that is a market, and it does happen every day. Would I pay somebody $299 to teach me how to do it at that age group? Probably not. I'm not saying he doesn't have a little bit of luck behind him. I would just say that I would just say he's probably a little overambitious for his age. I don't know what he can really bring to the table, because we all know anybody that's even bought and sold their own car knows you're not the same guy when you're 20 years old as you are when you're 40. So somebody's not going to pull the wool over your eyes just because of life in general. Life teaches you. So you've got to live life a little bit before you start teaching other people how to live life. I'm not saying I'm an expert. I've been doing it for 30 years, but to put the money back in perspective, he was saying that he made 30%. I watched his video. He said he made 30%. So he's making $300,000 off $1 million in cars. This is what this kid's saying. He makes $300,000 on $1 million. Okay, let me put that in perspective. So everybody knows this is a franchise guy. So a franchise store, let me throw all the factors in. We had typically you have 40 or 50 working lifts, okay, with this many techs. We have a full parts department. We got a rental department, a full body shop, a full used car lot of probably $1.5 million cars. We have a new car inventory that's probably in ground value worth $30-40 million. Just guessing. I have no idea. I'm just saying, if you add it all up, the new MSRPs, and not to mention the several $1 million it takes to build the facility, you get the picture. So in a month, with all of the warranty work going into the manufacturer, with all the customers coming in and all the new parts sold and all the detail stuff, all the body shop stuff, all the used car sales in, all the new car sale gross in, all the dealership money that came in from the factory, like the drip money, incentives, throw all this in a pile. Um, we were lucky. We were lucky. This is for growth. This is just for basically the bottom line. If we did, and this is probably cash going through the bank account, which is what this guy's talking about, which means this. It doesn't mean anything. But cash going through the bank account, how many millions of dollars? I don't even know. Like, we imagine selling 200 new cars plus 200 fleet cars. We're probably talking 40, $50 million worth of inventory flying in and out. And God only knows, millions, multi-millions of dollars going through in 30 days, the average franchise. This is how it works. Any franchise that can pull out $500,000 a month off of 50 million, they are rock stars, son. And if they get around 200, 250, they're okay. Because they're paying 100 to 150 employees. They got all, you just won't even believe the expenses involved. But I'm just kind of giving you a perspective. If this guy's saying he's making 300 grand as one person selling 8 or 9 cars a year, and it takes an operation with 200 employees, $50 million gross a month. I'm just saying in most of volume for us to even come close. This he's just a genius. Then yeah, it's just crazy. It's just crazy nuts to even think on those lines. So I think maybe the guy's probably he's young, so he's probably floating it up a little bit, and he's probably like, he's just trying to get the sizzle, not the steak. So I feel where he's coming from. But as far as being realistic, I don't think it's realistic to expect a $300,000 return on 8 cars. Anybody who's been selling cars or own their own cars would probably, would probably agree with me on that. That seems like a very unrealistic goal. All right, so that's where I'm at. Oh, and then also before this all gets done, I don't know if y'all heard it or not. Since we're live, it's funny. So did y'all catch the Scotty Kilmer live show today? I think it was today. I'm pretty sure I caught it after it was live, but I think it was today. And it was the most bizarre title. It said, "Chris, this is how you fix a headlight." He's obviously talking about Chris Fix. So I immediately have my attention. I'm like, what are these guys scuffling about? What's going on? Yeah, exactly. Well, okay, all right, hold on. Before we get into the Chris Fix and Scotty Kilmer, let me catch up. Yeah, he has the money to walk away. Okay, who are we talking about here? TV and real life are 2 different things. Good afternoon. Here with a huge mug. Okay, got you. Good afternoon, Big Cliff. He has the money to walk away. Yeah, he's probably talking about Gas Monkey. You and Rick D are super cool. Thank you. I guess he's talking about y'all up there. I like to spend 1,000 to make 1,000. Hey, Autobuff, yes, but we're in a different world, right? If you had $1 million, how long would it take you? Think about this, Buff. How long would it take you to spend $1 million if you could spend only 1,000 at a time? I mean, Jesus. You realize how much work that is? Like, if I said, all right, look, Bub, I want you to spend $1,000 on I want you to spend $1,000 as fast as you can on $1,000 cars, you would be just wore out. We would just be wore. Me and you together, everybody on here right now, we would all be wore the out. We could not do that job. Like, blowing $1 million on $1,000 car is ridiculous. You only need about 20 grand. And you can do this on 5 or 6 grand if you're just playing with $1,000 cars. You can make plenty of money, but if you depending on if you want to move to 2 or 3,000. But yeah, so spend 1,000, make 1,000. Experience is the best teacher. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. He has a reputation and lots of experience. What you need is old factory building, preferably an old rum factory. Yeah, okay, I got you. And I was to put $1 million on the line. It better be going to double. Exactly. That's how we look at it because we're realists. We're old enough to know that if you're going to spend that kind of money, you need a serious return. And we're not going to take a chance on 6 or 7 cars and put $1 million in 6 or 7 cars. Like, that is ridiculously stupid from my perspective. However, if he's actually doing it and he's figured out a way to do it, I mean, maybe we all have to sit down and learn from the 22-year-old. Big Cliff, 1 woman, it's gone. Yes, the thought of 1 woman and it's gone. Some guys can sell cars like selling stamps. That's a fact. Scotty's great. Yes, he is. Autobuff years. Yep. Okay, so I got where I'll call it. All right, so I watched Scotty's thing, and Scotty's like, he's pissed. I've never seen Scotty pissed. Scotty's a little pissed. I could tell it in his voice. He's like, yeah, so Chris is out telling people to wet sand his headlights, or I didn't get the whole story. Basically, clear coat the headlights with paint. Now, I've certain people do that. I don't ever do it. But he was so perturbed that Chris put this video out that he went on there and said this is the right way to do it. And he did. He was using the McGuire's cover up, which is great stuff. So I mean, Scotty, I will win it. But he went so far once again to say, hey, this guy Chris Fix, which everything I've seen with Chris is he's kind of like a novice do-it-yourself guy. So it's hard to knock the guy because he is a do-it-yourself guy. He never claimed to be a auto tech. He never claimed to be a car guy. He's just like kind of an individual that just started fixing up cars. So, I mean, on his end of it, I mean, he can't hard knock him. I mean, he's doing the best he can. He's learning what he can, and he's sharing what he learns. But yeah, so Scotty went off on it, man. Scotty was like, yeah, he goes, I've been fixing cars for 50 years, and you're not even. I've been fixing cars for 50 years, which is twice as long as you've even been alive. Then he went on to say the guy was a marine biologist and knew about fish, but not cars. And anyway, it was kind of crazy. And the only reason I'm bringing that up, and I'm sure those two guys, they probably are just joking with each other, doing it, back and forth. They're probably in on it together, just having fun. But that's very true. So when we talk about the 23-year-old guy telling other people like older that have real life experience, and he's trying to sell something for $300 to teach you something, and that guy better have his stuff together because people that got a little bit of experience on them and life experience with cars or living basically, they're going to get really pissed if you waste their time and $300. So I would just throw that warning of caution out. I've actually been asked to get into the selling. I've had 3 people that know how to do this stuff professionally. They've all asked me, they said, hey, will you put a course out on teaching people how to buy cars as an individual and teach car dealers how to buy cars without loss? And I said, yeah, you know what? I will definitely put the course out, but I'm not going to charge them anything because I have to set my channel different from everybody else. The real information that people want, you should share it. If it helps mankind, you should share it. It ain't for profit. It's to help people out. So that's what my channel is about. So that's why you get it from me like that. And also, to be fair, I don't think you can put a little chintzy course together and say, hey, if you follow these 10 steps, you're going to be successful in this business. I just don't believe it'll happen. Why? Because there's too many variables. There's way, way too many variables. Who's your buyers? Who's your sellers? Where's your sources? Where are you getting it? How are you dealing with manufacturers? How are you dealing with finance companies? How are you dealing with your salespeople? How are you dealing with the bankers? Where are you sourcing your income from? There's too many. You basically got to get on a channel like what I got right here, and you need to follow and talk to car people. And over time, you'll start picking up all the details for all the little ins and outs of how it works. All right. Okay, so here we go. Chris is a do-it-yourself guy. Yes, he is. Actually, I think he's really entertaining. I'm gonna tell you something I learned about that guy. I was like watching his videos, and I was like, damn, like this guy's like he's like a movie producer. Like his stuff is like tight. He's got like effects and switching this off. This guy's like he's bringing some A game to the video game. So I he might be a do-it-yourself guy, but he's a hell of a video guy too. Yeah, so the Voller's looking to do it himself. Autobus says, I'm on your course. Yeah, exactly. You'll be the Joe Verto of YouTube. I've heard of him. I haven't seen him before, but yeah. So I do have different playlists. So before when I started this out, remember I told y'all guys I didn't know how to do this shit? Sorry. But like I did how I walk around cars, like that's a whole in a playlist. And then like just different series, like I went into flipping cars, but I was just kind of sitting outside talking about different issues that, that come up. And then, other times I would be talking about anyway, I never really culminated them and put them all in like this one funnel where people could actually just veg out. Like if they're like, hey man, I'm going to start a car lot. Where do I start at? Like I would be a great place to start because I've already hit like location, your niche markets, where to resource your financing from if you need to get financing for your customers, or if you need money to be able to buy with. I'm slipping my mind right now. I can't even think. I guess because of the struggle or whatever. So if you need people to lend you money to buy cars with, you've got the auction, you got float time with auctions, there's so many factors to this that you just can't put a 10-minute course out and be like, okay, you're able to do brain surgery now. Congratulations. By the way, that'll be $4.99. It's ridiculous. And back in the day, they used to charge salespeople $500 to take a course. And I laughed at it because I was like, these guys would come up with the greatest little word tracks you ever heard. They'd be like, we are here to facilitate your needs today. But I'm just a car guy. I'm just like, damn, that sounds important. You're facilitating? And he'd be like, oh, I am not a person that helps you. I'm the facilitator. And I'd be like, oh, wow. So that's what happens. Like, they come up with these fancy ways to rebox stuff. But at the end of the day, if you're going to be in the car business, there's a couple rules that apply. One, you got to treat people right. Two, you better know what you're doing because the other guy does. Three, if you buy something, buy it cheap enough where you can resell it and make a profit. 4 or 5, if you buy something, make it nicer than when you sell it. That's it. That's the name of the basic game. I mean, buy low, sell high, make it nicer when you get rid of it than when you bought it. All right, so we have not even discussed the subject of what we got into. How to source vehicles at wholesale. Everyone needs that information. Yes. Wholesale vehicles are the best. And we're getting ready to get into that. We do swear on occasion, but a knuckle breaking and bolt free and see what happens. Hello. Yes. Yes, I've got a few busted things. And guys, how I turned out working on cars, because I came from I didn't originally started out selling cars, then went into my own used car lots, moved into management, and then started getting into the high end on the franchise deal, the GM level, and then partnership. Even though it was a small amount, but it was enough to give me a good taste of everything. And then I got into a contract where with Ford to go around to the different stores, and then branched off to anything, the other ones. So we started going to other manufacturers. Anyway, so I got a lot of experience with franchises. That's what I'm trying to tell you. But I didn't have any experience fixing cars. Like my whole career, I've been paying the techs to the back to rip me off. So years and years ago, I was pissed off about an expedition. I sent it to this guy, and he's like, oh, man, I'll take care of it. I'm like, great. How much? That's how car people are. Give me a number. He's like, $1,000. I'll put you a new 5.4 in it. Done. Done. Goes on. Weeks go by. A month goes by. I finally go pick the engine up. I bring it to him. I help him put the stupid thing in because I just can't wait anymore. But at the end of the day, he starts it up. And he's like, oh, I got it all done. So I go pick it up, and this thing is like pouring smoke out of it. Next thing I know, he puts a scope in it. He dropped a bolt in one of the pistons, and it just tore up the whole cylinder wall. And long story short, the new engine I bought was no good, and we ended up pulling it out. Anyway, at the end of the day, I left that expedition. I said, Bud, I'm done. You can take the frame, do whatever you want to do with it. I'm over it. But this is the last time I'm going to get ripped off by someone working on my cars. So after that, I started to learn. I started to learn paint and body, and I started to learn interior electrical, then how engines work, and then the transmission. So I self-taught myself. And of course, I had nothing but automobile friends and techs everywhere to help me out. So the more I screwed up, of course, they would laugh at me. But, eventually I learned. But okay, all right. How to source vehicles at wholesale. Everyone needs that information. All right, we're getting ready to get into that. What's up, Larry D? Big Cliff fleet cars in London are popular at the end of their lease. Yeah, they are definitely. Okay, here we go. Let's talk about profit centers. This is my favorite word in life. Profit centers. I love profit centers. Obviously, we got the easy one. You buy low, sell high. Everybody agree on that? Okay. So we're gonna go ahead, and our first profit center obviously is selling. That does it. If you don't even know that one, you're not allowed to listen to the rest of it. Okay, so you buy low, sell high. All right. Here's the problem. Most guys that are going to be watching this video, they've got a car lot. They've got they got a handful of cars, whatever. Maybe they 20, 30, whatever. But all they get during the day is crickets. crickets coming, there's crickets going. Eventually, somebody with bad credit shows up, and maybe they can put a finance deal together. Maybe somebody gets a little tax check. Maybe we can put a little deal together. But usually just crickets. So we're all looking, and meanwhile, curtailments are doing all the cars that you borrowed money on. The rent's still due, the power's still due, the salesmen want to get paid. All this stuff is going on that's just getting under your nerves. So here's what I did a long time ago. I figured it out. Idle hands are the devil's workshop. My daddy's a preacher. I don't know if y'all know that or not, which is probably why I'm a bad kid. But that's what my dad always told me. He said, your idle hands are the devil's workshop. And that applies in the car business like you would not ever even want to believe. So I decided, you know what? I'm not making any money. Um, I'm not making any money being an idle hands devil workshop guy. There's no cash in that, only trouble. And I want to make money. So the first thing I did to diversify, I started getting, because I was paying detailers $100 to $150 a car to clean my cars, which kind of pissed me off. I was like, man, that's kind of a lot of money. So, and this is back then. So this was really a lot of money. And they would come back and the carpets would be soaked and, they'd be sitting on the lot. The windows would fog up. Customer would get in the car 2 days later and it smelled like crap. And then whatever they put on it just kind of faded off. So it actually looked worse than when it started. I mean, it was not a great experience, but we were so conditioned to sending your cars off to get them detailed that, that's what we did. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to get me two guys and I'm going to teach them how I want a car done. And they're going to do my own detailing. And then I'm going to make money on them. So what I did was, as a car dealer, this is your best avenue as other car dealers. They love not doing work, and they love the fact that someone they know works. That's how I was. Like we'll be like, Autobus, he's got a little detail shop. Yeah, he's a car dealer, but he takes care of my detail too, which means he's cool. So if Buff needs anything, we're gonna take care of him because he takes care of us on the auto detailing. And it's nothing but cash flow, guys. You get a couple guys out, you pay them whatever, pay them good wages, a dollar or two more than everybody else pays them, and you start to work in these car dealers, and you bring those cars in, and then you start expecting perfection. Like you get these guys in, you teach them how to do the scratch fix because that's a little upcharge. You get them the heat extractor, the steam things because it doesn't stink up the cars. You teach them how to buff. All this stuff can be done in 2 days. You can teach it. You can bring a guy up to snuff in 48 hours on how to detail a car. I can take any of you guys right now, teach you how to buff. I can teach you how to pull an interior, and I can teach you how to get the interior panels clean and do interior engines, the scratch marks, everything. I can do it all in 48 hours, and that's what you need to learn how to do. So you make these guys go to work for you, and what you'll find is while you're waiting for these people to be coming and going, you're going to be loading your the back end of the shop up with income. So think about this. So we know that the average car is going to make $1,000, $1,200 a copy. Hey, Buff, what do you average up there in New York on a car? When you get a chance, throw that in here. I'm thinking maybe 1,000. He might hold out for more, 1,500, 1,800, but people don't make $3,000 or $4,000 average on a car. Period. It doesn't happen. So if the faster they turn, a little lesser turns. So that's why I'm gonna go with 1,000. That's kind of the standard. So we know that we need $1,000 to make up for one car sale, right? So that's 10 cars to detail. You'll easily detail 10 cars a day with two guys. It's not even an option, even if you only did 5. But you will do 10. It's not a problem. You can even pick up another guy. And then what you got there, you've got $1,000 to $1,200, $1,300 a day. There you go. So he's using the exact same numbers I use. $1,000 profit, he doesn't buy it, and that's the fact. I don't either. I will sometimes talk myself into an $800 deal, and I'll be like, I don't want to do this. But then when I get at home, I'm like, I got to make $1,200 on it. But so we're going to say that detailing right now, I'm telling you to charge $100, $150 a car. We can get into all the details of how to make them look good, but your customer resource needs to be the other dealers. That's where you make the money at. You just go ahead and you're a salesman already. You're in the car game. You're just the guy trying to make it. You know what they expect from their cars to look like, and you can put that competitive edge that they're going to want to deal with you. You know why? Because you're not some crackhead. You're like a legit guy that they can deal with, that knows how to speak won't embarrass them in front of their customers. All these things become a factor. So you can definitely start just working the dealers around you and say, hey, listen, I've got a little detail operation going on. I want to know if you can, kind of stretch it out there and kind of get in there. And what you'll find out happening, what happened to me was I started making more money. This is crazy. I started making more money on detailing than some months I was selling cars. And that's just how nuts it was. So I was like, man, this is awesome. So I started getting into that. You know what I mean? I was like, detailing cars is just money. I mean, it's just free money for what you're doing. So then I was like, you know what? I gotta up my game. On these car dealers, I gotta offer them a little more. Because you could just keep adding, you can get, that's right, $99 retail. So you can get into anything and bump it up. So I'd be like, hey, y'all want your oil changed? Now I'm making an extra $20 a copy. The guy only makes another $1.50 or $2 by the hour to drop the plug and um, throw the stuff in and get the filter. So we're pulling an extra 20 and we're doing a fluids check. So now we're turning around and now we're like, we're not even mechanics, but we're able to change the oil. Anybody can do that. And we look for bad serpentine belts and fluids. This is back in the day. So we would do that. And then so our average started turning into about $200 a car because dealers didn't want to screw with it. And then you can add other stuff. Like you can watch my video on how to paint a bumper cover. Guys, you can paint a bumper cover. I'm just being real with you. You can paint a bumper cover for $30 all day, all night, all week. These dealers will pay you $150, $200 a bumper cover. Period. The car's already there. It takes you another 2 hours, and you've doubled what you made on the thing. So that's what I would do. I would kind of concentrate on, first the detailing. Second, I would look at if you've got any type of service bay or whatever. That service bay needs to have, in the franchise business, we call it lift hours. You need to have a guy turning wrenches and working for you that's working for someone else that's not working for you. So, in other words, yes, your mechanic can fix some of your stuff, but that turns into a big money pit. You want the mechanic making money for you working for somebody else's stuff. That's hey, what's up, Francisco? That's where the big money's at. And you know what you'll find out there's tons of smart mechanics. These guys are sharp. Half of them got their own tools. Yeah, they drink a little bit. They chase a few women around. You might have to work with them a little bit. But at the end of the day, you can fire up a car and they can listen to it and they'll be like, oh, that's just an idler pulley. Yeah, I can change that. That's just a timing belt. Take me 3 hours. Boom. Make you $600. You paid him 80. Done. I mean, and this is how you start building a real business. Because if you don't build a real business and you're just waiting on cars to buy and sell, you're gonna at some point the game's gonna catch you because you can't. Oh, is the video buffering big time there? Because I got the highest wattage I can have on Xfinity. I'm seeing that right now. All right, I need to update. There you go. So he spent the last 2 mornings on diagnostic callouts. There you go. So yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm looking at profit centers. I'm looking at the detail. Then I'm looking at mechanical, and then thirdly, I'm looking at light paint. I'm not talking about painting the guy's fender. I ain't talking about replacing body parts. I'm talking about, does he need a bumper cover painted? Are they faded? Maybe mirrors, something simple like that. These are huge cash resources that will up your game immediately. And then you're going to get into the labor, and that's where the real money's at. The real money is in doing labor that people don't want to do. That's where the big money's at. And then it'll turn into a fact that whatever you're doing with the sales, that's all your money. You get to keep it. It's all yours. You don't have to share it. It's all yours. You got it. The other people paid all your bills, and you get to keep whatever you're selling. And then all of a sudden, the game changes for you. Now you can put in a 5-year plan, because now instead of selling 10 cars a month for $10,000 a month, now you're selling the same 10 cars a month, except now you're making an additional 20 grand a month on your services. And that's how it works. That's how I do it. And I schedule everything. I look at it like this. If you can make $100 a month doing something, you can make $10,000 a month doing it. That's kind of my cap. That's how I look at it. So if you can make $100 a month detailing, you can make it. You can make 10 grand. You can make 10 grand in mechanical, and you can make 10 grand in paint. All of those things are super simple, and every one of them is a huge, huge, huge profit center. All right, so get into that, and then you get into other things. Um, Something else I always use for a profit center. I always kept an ad going. We buy junk cars, and the reason is because there's a lot of money in junk cars, and you would not believe how many people sell a junk car that's actually worth something. And the only person that can estimate what the junk guy doesn't know it's worth anything, the junkyard's selling it for parts. So unless you're just a car person that's out looking, and I wouldn't spend a lot of time looking, I would let the phone calls come to me. But usually 3 or 4 times a week, you'll get a strange phone call and be like, "Hey, I got a car. It's only 5 or 6 years old. I don't know. My mom died and it's sitting here and it's got flat tires, so I guess it ain't no good. Can you come get it?" And the average person's going to be like, "I just want to get rid of it." So that one little ad right there, which is another profit center, when I say it, I call it the junk cash flow, and the junk cash flow will always pay, and it pays deep. So every week you should be able to buy 3 or 4, maybe 5 cars, and I guarantee you're going to make 10 grand a month off junk cars, just that fast and easy. You would just have to believe it to see it. Just put an ad out that says "I'll buy junk cars," and just let the phone start ringing. And if you don't want to buy the car, just say, "Oh yeah, we can't use that one." That's it. You haven't lost anything. They'll call somebody else, and that's it. It just puts you. It just gives you an alternative market to be able to buy cars. Um, Even if you don't have a tow truck or anything, and you don't really want to get into it. You just want to cherry pick what people are calling on. That's great too. Or you can get in touch with the junkyard and be like, "Hey, how much is this?" And just split it with them. Be like, "Hey, look, all right, you're gonna give me 200. You're gonna pay me the $100 kickback. Here it is. Go get it." And your hands are clean. It's all about moving cash. The car business is not about cars. It's about moving money. It always has been and it always will be. And the people that are successful in it understand that and know how to move the money. And this is what I'm trying to teach you. I'm trying to teach you where the little hidden aspects of moving money's at. All right. So what else did we talk about? We talked about moving junk, which I love. And then we're talking about buying and selling, low, high, the car detailing, the mechanicing, the paint and bumpers. And then what else is out there that you can make money on? Oh, yes. So you can get more money out of your customers. This is even better. We briefly talked about rental cars. Having a little rental department is awesome. You would not believe the cash flow that is available in renting, having 5 or 6 cars ready to go. When I was a young man, our store took a we had started selling Chrysler. I mean, I'm sorry, we started renting out brand new Chrysler Plymouth Acclaims is what they were. Yeah, rentals are excellent. So yeah, so they ordered like 60 Plymouth Acclaims. I'm like, why do we have 60 Plymouth Acclaims? And so they bring them over to the rental department, detail department cleans them up. And I'm like, oh my God, we're just screwed. We'll be sending Plymouth Acclaims to the cows come home. And do you know in 2 weeks, all 60 of those were on the road. And within 3 weeks, we didn't even have any rental cars to rent. And for the next couple of years, those cars just stayed gone continuously. Occasionally, you have 1 or 2 in, never more than 3 or 4 ever, because people like the convenience of rental. And what's good about rental is cash flow, and you own it. And if you've got the other little operation going on in the background, you got a little mechanic close by, he'll tell you whether you put an ugly car out for rental that runs good. Don't put a pretty car out that doesn't run good. Put an ugly car out that'll get you some miles. But yeah, so that's what I would do. I love rental cars, and I'd make them cheaper than the tote the note guys. So the tote the note guys that like, hey man, I'll put you in at $50 a week. I'd be like, you can rent my car for 40 or $50 a week, and I'll take care of the maintenance on it or whatever. Because why do we care? We got a $500 car. It's going to make us a couple $100 a month every month until it dies. Life is good. What about investing on your rentals? Who pays? You pay. Yes, if it gets impounded, you paid. But that's okay. I'll tell you the way. Here's how I do the rentals. I don't do it anymore, but this is how I did it. So rentals need to have a key lock system in them that turns the car off, or won't let the car restart once it turns off if the payment isn't made. You follow me? And it also has a GPS locator. So this keeps you on a weekly payment. Say if it's due, I'm just throwing it out there. Say the payment's due Friday at 3 o'clock. Well, if they go to start that car Friday after 3 o'clock, it's not going to start. So they're going to have to call you, and then you have to give them a code to put in that car to start it. And what that does, it reprograms that low end buyer to make you the priority person to pay. So they're going to know every Friday at 3 o'clock they need their freaking car, so they're just going to pay you, and they're going to manage the rest and figure the rest out. But they will always pay you, and the GPS always lets you stay close. Um, what do those cost? They're about $300. But I'm going to tell you what, they're worth every dime you'll ever have. The code system is the only way to travel. Who cares about low jacks and all that stuff? What you need is something that don't let the car start on a timer. And that's what that thing does. When they put that code in there, it resets the timer for 12 or for 7 days. So in 7 days at this exact time, this car is going to shut off. And it will not start. It has a starter interrupter in it. You put the code in, it clicks it over, the car starts fine. They don't ever have to come in. And all those people, no problem. Guess what they do? They have a little debit card. They use their mom's card, whatever. They can go right online. They don't even need to talk to you. They can just put it in, pay it, get their code, be done. And that's how you want to roll in a rental car situation. That's just, and that to me, I love the cash flow from rental cars. And if I had the time and effort and energy, no, there's no way to bypass them. Like you'd have to be somebody like me to be able to bypass it. You're just not going to do it because they put it right into the ignition system. So the average person is just not going to be able to do shit about it. They just have to live with it. And that's just how it goes. I'm going to look them up for you guys so you can. I'll put a link in there. I'll have to call them. Another thing, too, guys. So that's to me, rental cars is like that's like candy. That's like that's not even selling a car. That's like you're like, oh yeah, you can use my car for this week. Let me just put this cash in my pocket. Oh, and by the way, because I have taxes due next week, I'm going to write all this shit down too. So, yeah, I mean, definitely get into the rental car. Now, as far as tote the note, I think that's kind of played out. There's just like a lot of bad karma with it. There is a way to do it to make money, and basically the idea with tote the note is you finance about, let's just say you can get 100 cars on the books, and the newest one's got at least 90 days worth of payments. And then you turn around and take this whole batch of 100 and then you sell it to a finance company, and the finance company will advance you a portion of it. And then you guarantee that these people are going to pay for like X amount of days or whatever, whatever. And then you collect this huge check. Two things. One, you're really screwing this customer hard because you've got to make them pay a ridiculous amount of money for this car for it to be worth it, because you're only going to get a portion of the contract. Then the cars are usually not worth it, and on top of that, half of them aren't going to pay anyway. So if you have a buyback policy, they're just going to be cutting your check. You're just going to be charging you back continuously. That's why I leave the bloodsuckers out of my business. I don't even play with them anymore. When I was younger, I used to think that was the way to get rich. But you know what? That's the way for them to get rich, because they just keep all the cherries and stick you with the bad stuff. So I steer away from that. Now, if you've got the money to lot finance and keep the cash in your pocket, it's a little different story. And if you've got, like I said, if you had a passive system where you have to put the code in, that's the only way to go these days. You might be able to retrain them, but here's what happens 9 times out of 10. First person gets into a Totino car. For whatever reason, girlfriend breaks up. They're not really the best, most reliable customer to start with. Something happens. Maybe the tire goes flat. I ain't paying you. Come get it. They're so used to being repoed, and they don't care. It means nothing to them. There's no pride of ownership. They don't care about nothing. So now you have to pay somebody to repossess the car for $200. Then you got to go and file the paperwork for X amount of dollars. Then after you go follow all that, then you got to take it out of their name, and it's got to come back into your name before you can legally sell it. So it's just a bunch of horse crap because you got to pay sales tax. Like if you sold them that car for say 6 grand, I'm just saying you had a $500 car. By the time it's all said and done, you owe them 6 grand. But you got to pay sales tax on 6 grand. So let's pretend you paid $300 in sales tax, and then you got to pay tax for another couple $100. Now you're down $500. They've only give you a $500 down payment. You're just losing money. It's like a lose lose situation. Now, if you have a rental customer that you get to know, and you're like, hey, this guy's been paying me really like a clock for the last couple months. I'm feeling good. I know he's got a good job. He's stable. It's a woman, maybe with her kids. She takes it real serious. She's very responsible. Just got a bad deal. That's the one to take a chance on an auto finance. You don't just take any old bogue coming in and, hey, I need to get a car. No, because what's going to happen is they're going to get a car and you're going to get zero. Nothing but a big fat bill and a big fat loss. So financing, unless you're a financer, is you don't get into it. Rental cars, you own it, and you get out of my car, the car shut down, you paid or didn't pay. That's the only conversation we're having right now. Did you pay on Friday at 3 o'clock or did you not? If you did not pay on Friday at 3 o'clock, then I'm coming to get my car. I don't need a repossession. I don't need anybody. The sheriff's department will show up and give your car back to you. Period. Because it is a rental car, and if they keep it out of possession or withholding possession, it's a crime. So at the end of the day, to me, that works. I seen a story about suing the dealership because her starter interrupt cars right on the highway. Is that possible? I've never heard of that. I'm sure people get sued for stuff all the time, but as long as you're putting a quality install, basically it works off a relay. So, and even if it did, if it not, and see, a starter interrupt won't actually turn a car off. It'll just keep the relay from engaging when you turn the car off. It'll divert the power from the relay. So when you hit the switch, the relay doesn't kick on and it won't start it. That's what's up with that. So that's what's going on with that. So I don't really see it killing it during the thing. I guess it could happen. Who pays the insurance on rental cars? Do you pass the cost on the customer? Well, of course we pass the cost on to the customer. That's how we roll, baby. Um, so that's what I thought. Yeah, okay. So it stops at starting. Yes, exactly. So all right. So the cost of the insurance, you can call around. Okay, call around. I would start this. This takes a little bit of money. It doesn't take a lot. I mean, let's just pretend you already have the 5 cars, just because you can buy whatever you want to do this with. So let's just say you have the 5 cars. So all you really need to do then is you're just going to tag and title those cars in a DBA, probably your business, and then you're going to get rental insurance. And there's companies out there that specialize with this, and so it's not a problem to actually find them and get a quote on it. It's actually pretty easy. So you can do this. Anybody watching this right now, you can have a rental car business in like 10 minutes. I mean, you need a little business license, buy some cars, title them in your name, get you an account. Just do the normal stuff. Run an ad in the paper. Probably have a storefront somewhere. I'm assuming you guys got car lots, whatever. But even if you don't, if you just want to run it from your house, I'm sure, unless there's some law where you live that says you can't, as long as you got a license, who cares? They're going to let you do it. You don't need a dealer's license. Um, so I think to me, that's the new way it should be done. That's just how I feel. Um, yeah, absolutely. You can do it in your personal name. I mean, I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters at all. I think you can rent cars. I wouldn't. I mean, I would spend the $200, put it in some kind of DBA or some kind of empty corporation that they can't, nail, because you don't want them. It's something if they did something. It's just never good to have your business and your personal together. That's all I'm saying. Is it possible to do it in your personal name? Yeah, beat me to it. Yeah, exactly. So we're on the same page there. I just, that's just how I roll. I mean, yeah, you could. I mean, I could tomorrow go get a Jamie Jones car and just rent it to somebody. I mean, I can do it as long as the contract and they got an insurance square. The state of Virginia could give two shits less. Nobody cares. But who would care is if that person, if you didn't have, if he wasn't quite right, you know what I mean? Like if they, let's just say you get into an altercation where they run over somebody or whatever, they've skipped their insurance. You want to make sure that you're bulletproof, and your insurance company will make sure of this. You want to make sure you're bulletproof. And if they, for whatever reason, sue you, you just want to make sure. And if they took everything, it's kind of a far shot. But if they did, You'd want them to come after the company, not you personally. Um, yeah, absolutely. That's exactly how that works. Yeah, so they can carry their own insurance. You just kind of build it into the car. Yeah, it's pretty cheap though. I mean, it's a great little income source. To me, I would rather rent out cars than sell cars. I mean, because A, you get to keep them, so you keep getting richer and richer every day. It's not like Buff will tell you, we go bust our ass, buy a car, flip it for a grand profit, and we're back to zero. We would much rather that car to show up every week and pay us $150. Correct me if I'm right. Yeah, I would make them carry their own insurance for sure, definitely. All right, anything else that's relevant? I would start all this out with everything working in this direction. That's how I would do it. Okay, mind blown. What's a good way to figure out the cost of repairs and maintenance? Okay, that's pretty easy. Okay, yeah, digging into the rental idea. Okay, repairs and stuff is real easy. So you get bulletproof engines. That's how you just get a bulletproof tried car. What's a bulletproof tried car? Corolla. I don't care what you do to it. When you hit the key, it's gonna start. Period. So we get you some $1,000 Corollas, $1,200 Corollas. You're good to go. If something happens, we know we got oil and tires. We got some basics, but if something happens, if you blow a head gasket, whatever, I wouldn't put more than $600-700 in this car, and it will definitely, yeah, like Cliff says, to get some spare. Whatever you're doing, be really good at it. The reason I told you the Plymouth Acclaim deal was because he bought 60 of the same car. It wasn't even like we had like a minivan and then back then we had Plymouth Sundances. Jesus Christ, I'm that old. So we had Plymouth and Dodge Dusters. You remember them? But so we had Plymouth, the Dodge Colt, Plymouth Vista, and then what other cars do we have? The Plymouth Laser, and I think Dodge had the Dynasty that was kind of the counterpart to the Acclaim, sorta. And then we also had the LeBarons, and then the Fifth Avenues, which were so sexy. And we still had the Imperials when I started. They cut them out in like '93. But anyway, yeah, he didn't even get into all them. He just went to the cheapest. He went to a cheap four-door sedan that you could beat the hell out of. Let's call it what it is. So that's what you're looking for doing. You're looking for simple repairs. You're looking for a car that's just not overcomplicated, that looks reasonable, okay. And I'm gonna tell you something. People are desperate to do good business with people that they can count on. Like if they know that they can call, like people, if they have a problem, they just call me because they know I'm gonna take care of them. But if you get into other stuff like if you're just a dick about stuff, if some of our cars break down, you don't keep them running, well, you're gonna lose your income. So just treat them right. I mean, you can build you an empire off of rental cars. Look what Enterprise did. They're the world's largest used car dealer and the world's largest new car buyer. They're not even in the car business. They're in the rental business, and they're the world's largest. For God's sakes, they're bigger than CarMax. They're bigger than Ford. As far as used cars go, they are the biggest rated used car seller on the planet. Period. There's no one bigger. Yeah, I did like that. Did you like the two doors? Miles limit. I don't got a miles limit. I got a sexy limit. I like it looking sexy. If the car looks good, it's got $130, $140 on it, I'm okay with it. I'm gonna roll it. If it's got 180, 190, I'm not feeling it. You know what? There is a mileage limit. 150. Just if you're gonna buy a rental car, get one for less than 150,000 miles. Just because shit happens. So I would keep it under 150. And when you get it and you know you're going to do it, just go ahead and do a few basic things. Go ahead and throw a timing belt on it. Yeah, 4 doors for sure. 4-door automatic. Go ahead and throw a timing belt on it and get the transmission. Go ahead and flush it. When you throw the timing belt on it, get them to put a new serpentine belt and water pump. Flush the coolant. Just do some basics. Get the car ready to roll. Get it a tune-up. And I would do it until the car busted, my man. It's better to dance with the devil you know than the hell you don't. And that's the fact. So if you've got an old trusty car that you know that you've already done the maintenance on, I'm just talking to you about, I would say like I'd have a car on about a 3-year rotation on a rental because basically it's not really like a rental like you're thinking. This is somebody's personal transportation. So you got to think about the life of the car. So if they're going to be buying this car, but they're going to be keeping it week to week, they're just going to keep going week to week. So the average person probably, I would look at it like this. You got to look at how much exactly. I don't know. You gotta love Big Clip. If you can't love anybody on the channel, you gotta love Big Clip. He keeps it real. All right. So long story short, it's how do I word this? Okay, so rotation isn't really about rotation. It's about keeping that customer happy. So you look at it at the big scale. Let's say you have $1,000 in it, and Buff, you're like, hey, you know what? I got to make $1,000 around on a car. Okay. So now establish how much gross profit you'd like to make on the rental car. Well, I would say 5 to 1 is good. So if you made 5 grand on that car, if you made 5,000 on $1,000, you can dump it. Not necessarily, because people are creatures of habit. That's why car business becomes successful like it does, because people stay with their brands. They tend to like the same car every weekend and every week out. So if you've got a good car that they can count on, you're never going to hear from them. They're just going to pay for it. So they might go on for a year or two. You can quickly do it. If you were at $200 a week, that'd be $2,400 a year. That's 5 grand in 2 years. So 24 months, you've retained 4 grand return on $1,000. That's pretty stout. Or you could do 3 years and you could make what's that, 6 grand, 7 grand. That's pretty good. 36 months. So let's just say you started at a 110 range, the guy probably puts 10, 15,000 miles a year on it. You still got a decent car after 36 months. Just give them the damn thing. That's how I would do it. How would RTO work? RTO, rent to own. So yeah, I'm with Nathan on that. So at the end of the game, you take and you say, hey, listen, if you keep this car, this is what I'm saying. You just got to be fair. Hey, look, guys, this is the amount of money this car returns for. This is what we're expecting this car to return. If you rent this car for this, you don't even film that. If you rent this car for this amount of times, all we wanted to keep it for 24 months, you can be fair to them. You don't have to be greedy. You can make 3 grand on $1,000 investment over 24 months, which is pretty fair. And just give them the car. That's what you do. Give them the car for $1. It just seems to me like that would make common sense. And I'm telling you what, a lot of people. That's right. I wish I had done that. That's right. He wish he'd done the math in school. I got you, baby. So that's how I would do it. I would really consider the rental car business if I were y'all. I mean, I'm in a no compete right now, so I can't really do anything. I'm kind of screwed. But if I was gonna, I don't know if I'm gonna have the energy to go back into it when I get done, because I'm moving in a different direction with the internet and stuff. But yeah, if I was just picking up, if I was sitting on a sled lot, this is what your boy right here, this is what I would be doing. I'd be calling all you guys up right here, and we'd all be getting together on how much I'm cleaning your cars for, and y'all gonna be getting together trying to sell me fix my bumper covers. And at the end of the day, we all gonna be wholesaling each other cars when we line each other about how much we're gonna make on the other one's car. That's how that would actually work. By the way, if you do service a lot of car dealers' cars, you really are going to be surprised at how many cars that are available to you that they'll make available that they don't see any value in that maybe you do. So it's always a great source. And then the last one I want to key on is something that came up a little while ago, and that is, where do you source wholesale cars from? That is a great question. I think maybe we need to do another segment on that, because we're at, oh my God, dude. Oh God. Yep. I'm in any trouble. It's 59 minutes and 8 seconds. So yeah. So Jen told me I could only be on for 25 minutes. Apparently that's when the that's too much work, not enough time for employees. I hear you. Yeah, that would make a great segment. So maybe we'll get into wholesale sourcing. Since y'all kind of like this car dealer stuff, we'll get into that. Yeah, sounds good to me. Yeah, so Jen told me that according to the experts, I'm only supposed to be on for 20 to 25 minutes. But let's face it, guys, I'm not your average dude. Like, I didn't even bother to put thumbnails. I didn't edit anything. I didn't put nothing in the description. I just put videos on YouTube. And guess what? 13 million people watched them. So I guess maybe everybody at Google don't know everything because apparently people still trying to fix their cars and buy and sell them. So I guess I do have a market, but I probably should have done it the why bother? It's not like I'm going to be better looking. Um, Speaking of that, what's my girl's name? Hold on, we're getting her up right now. Guys, got to check this out. You guys got to check out what's her name. She is. Hold on. I love this girl. She's a she's like a what is she? She's kind of like a maybe a self-help guru kind of sort of, and but she's amazing. But what's crazy is how good she looks, because she basically went into this whole scenario where she was like well, she was kind of normal for a little while, but then she hired a photographer and she got a yeah, that's right, real man. Thank you. Turns out they were wrong, Autobuff. Yes, they were. Yes, they were. Yeah. So, long story short, I gotta find her. I gotta just tell y'all because this woman is ridiculous. I'm looking for my stupid. I can't find my YouTube account right now. All right, trying to find it. Trying to find it. YouTube. Oh crap! There it was. There it was. All right, here we go. We're gonna find her out for you guys. All right. Oh, here she is popping up right off the bat. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to. I'm gonna crucify her. The girl's name. Her name is Sunny. Oh God, how do you say her last name? Leonard Doozy. Uh, yeah, I think it might be how you say Lenduzzi. It's Leonard Doozy. Uzzi. Anyways, go check out one of her videos. So, because I'm trying to figure out how to make my stuff look professional, and look, I was like, I got to make this stuff look good. I mean, Jesus. I've got a bunch of car guys on here. We got to clean up our act a little bit. I got to polish it up, make we got to add a few things, make ourselves look good. Because these kids are killing me, man. They get millions of views, and they ain't never bought a car, ain't never sold one. They think they bought a $200 car one time in their life, and they selling courses on how to sell cars. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God. So anyway, I'm trying to get a legit car channel going, and Sunny. I caught her channel one day. She was talking about something that was just relevant. So I kind of follow her. So when it bings, I catch her in whatever new videos. But she went from like this normal. I mean, she's a woman. I'm sure she, like I said, self-help, but she's really cool, great personality. But she went from that to like this ridiculously cool glam. I mean, you ought to check one of her. She's like slow motion with the hair. I mean, it's like a glamour shot. She's walking down the thing. I was like, dang, this girl's straight out of Hollywood. But she's like she's definitely not where I'm heading on video arrangement. So please don't expect that. We might get Jen to show up every now and then. Guess we have to wash our hands before dinner. Yeah, you know what, Bob? That's right. I mean, let's face it. I'm never going to be that guy. So who cares? I don't care. Hey, nobody comes to my channel because they want to be impressed with that kind of stuff. Meanwhile, guys, we have went an hour and 3 minutes, and I gotta call it. I gotta call it a day. And tomorrow, tune in at 5 o'clock, and we will finish you off for the weekend. If you come across anything in your brain you want me to bring to the table that you think I might be able to help you on, do it. I don't care. I'll let it rip, baby. Meanwhile.